my decisions. I own the fact that I was in complete denial and saw things right in front of me, but just like, I was protecting myself, I was protecting my kids. I had this family, right? I didn't want to be a failure. To me, losing my marriage was failing.
At 50 years old, Shaunie O'Neal has finally said what so many people have been whispering about for years. The rumors, the speculation, the silent questions that lingered every time her name was mentioned online, on blogs, on talk shows, even in church circles after her latest marriage. For a long time, she didn't address any of it. She smiled, she worked, she took care of her family, and she kept it moving. But there comes a moment in every woman's life where holding everything inside becomes heavier than simply telling the truth. And Shaunie has reached that moment. What makes this so powerful is not just the fact that she confirmed things people have been talking about, it's how she did it. Calm, collected.
You said you were shocked when Keon proposed to you. Had you not gotten proposed to before?
Never.
No?
No.
So what
I never got a proposal.
Really?
No.
And so this was the first time, and it just, how'd you feel when he took that knee?
First of all, I thought this was his friend's birthday dinner.
Right.
The whole night.
Right.
So this was like, he started talking about love, and I'm looking at him like, why are you doing this? This is this man's birthday. But then he came around the table and got on his knee, and I was just like, my heart melted because, again, I had never been officially proposed to.
Right.
Mature, not from a place of anger, not to clap back, not to prove anything, but simply because she is finally choosing peace. But to truly understand why this moment matters, we need to go back, way back, to the girl before the cameras, before the spotlight. Before the headlines and the heartbreaks, the wins and the losses, the public love and the private pain. Shaunie wasn't born into fame. She didn't grow up expecting to become a name that millions of people would know. She was just a regular girl from Texas, raised in a family that taught her to work hard, trust in God, and carry herself with dignity. She was smart, observant, and even at a young age, she could read people well. She understood what it felt like to be overlooked and what it meant to stand firm in who you are, even when others don't understand you. When she entered adulthood, she wasn't chasing celebrity. She worked. She handled her life. But life has a funny way of pushing people into their destiny.
You gotta have Shaunie on the show. You guys were just, yeah, he was great. He was such a champion of yours. And then at some point he said, you know, something about him one day getting married again. And I thought, you're not, he's been very supportive of your dating journey. You've been supportive of his. Was there a conversation about that? And he even said, what is it, he would attend your wedding or you would attend his if that ever happened?
Yeah, I think we both support each other. Like, I used to tease him and be like, could you please hurry up and get a wife? And then you could stop, you know, randomly FaceTiming me and talking about your day. Like, I'm not, like, get a girlfriend or something. I don't know.
Even when they don't see it coming. Meeting Shaunie O'Neal didn't instantly turn her into the woman we know now. Their love story was complicated. There were highs that felt like fairy tales and lows that felt like storms no one could prepare for. Being married to someone the world sees as larger than life is something no one can explain unless they've lived it. Everyone loves him, everyone wants his attention, and the spotlight never turns off. Their marriage became one of the most talked about relationships in entertainment. On the outside, people saw money, mansions, vacations, luxury, and love. But on the inside,
that person, like, I got married in my previous relationship thinking that it was going to fix things and that, oh, you know, he's going to change this because we got married, or he's going to act differently because we got married. That is not true. It's not realistic. And it's not my job to fix those things about the person that I'm married to.
There were cracks, trust issues, distance, miscommunications, and the pressure of fame pressing into every corner of their lives. She had children to raise, a household to manage, and at the same time, a public marriage that was constantly being watched, judged, and dissected. When they divorced, it wasn't just the end of a relationship, it was a public unraveling of a life she dedicated herself to building. And instead of crumbling, Shaunie did something that many people don't expect when a woman's world falls apart. She got up, she worked, she built something that didn't depend on a man's name. She created Basketball Wives, not just as entertainment, but as a space to show the lives of women who are often talked about but rarely understood. People thought she was just Shaq's ex-wife, but she quickly made it clear she was a producer, a businesswoman.
I always tell people a snippet of video is not the total story.
Yeah.
So tell me what happened there.
Well, you know, social media is into cuts, not context.
Yeah.
And every suggestion that I got from every naysayer, I've already done. This is a 4-year battle, right?
Oh, this is ongoing.
This is ongoing. So I've already talked to her personally. I'd already had ushers go up to her. I've already had prayer warriors. I've had everything. So she did it publicly after being asked not to.
What is she? Is she crying? Is an emotional break?
Well, you know, as a pastor, I know the difference between disturbance and worship. And what people have to understand, is that every time you hear a noise in church, it isn't worship.
A mother, a leader, and someone who was going to make a name for herself regardless of who she was standing next to. But with success comes judgment. People questioned her motives, her leadership, her storylines, her friendships. The show became a cultural moment, but it also became a battlefield. Women clashed, stories collided, and drama poured out like floodwater. And through it all, she stayed calm, strong, poised, but still human. Years passed. Her children grew, her businesses grew, her influence grew, and then love found her again. Or at least, that's what it looked like. When Pastor Keon Henderson entered her life, it felt like the chapter she truly deserved. A mature love, a grounded love, a love rooted in faith. The wedding was breathtaking, the kind of day little girls dream about. And for a while, it looked like the universe had finally given her peace. People loved them together. They called them goals. They called them purpose partners. It felt like a new beginning. But what nobody expected was that this new beginning would come with its own shadow. The whispers started small. People noticed changes. Fewer photos posted, less public affection, distance, silence. The kind of silence that says everything if you're paying attention. Some said their schedules pulled them apart. Others said their values shifted. Others pointed to issues that only two people behind closed doors will ever really understand. Shaunie didn't run to the internet to defend herself. She didn't fight back. She didn't explain. She simply allowed time to speak for her. And time always reveals the truth. When she finally confirmed the rumors, she didn't blame anyone. She didn't weaponize her pain. She didn't try to embarrass him or herself or the institution of marriage. Her words were quiet, reflective, like someone who has lived enough life to know that sometimes love is real, but not meant to last forever. She spoke about growth, self-discovery, understanding that love is not just about staying. Sometimes love is about knowing when to let go. What hit people the hardest was when she said that somewhere along the way, she realized she didn't feel seen, not as a wife, not as a partner, not as a woman, but as herself, as Shaunie. That confession touched people deeply because how many women, especially women who give, sacrifice, compromise, nurture, have felt invisible in their own lives? She talked about losing parts of herself just to keep peace, about shrinking to make other people comfortable, about silencing her feelings because she didn't want to be misunderstood or labeled difficult. And that is something so many women carry silently, not just in romantic relationships, but in family, in work, in friendships, in motherhood. She admitted she had been pouring into everyone else while leaving her own cup empty. And when she said she finally chose herself, something shifted. Because choosing yourself at 50, in a world that teaches women they are supposed to fade, quiet down, and disappear as they age, is revolutionary. This wasn't just about a divorce, or rumors, or even a public love story that didn't survive. This was about a woman reclaiming her identity after spending her life holding everyone else up. Shaunie said something that left a mark on so many hearts. She said, "I don't regret anything. I loved, I tried, I gave, and I learned. But now, I'm choosing me." There was no bitterness, just truth. People forget how heavy silence can be. How much pain can sit behind photos, behind smiles, behind busy schedules and carefully curated posts. When she finally spoke, she reminded everyone that strength is not about pretending everything is fine. Strength is about allowing yourself to evolve, even when the evolution costs you something you once prayed for. Her family has been her anchor through all of this. Her children have grown into thoughtful, grounded, talented individuals because she poured love, wisdom, and resilience into them. They have watched her rise and fall and rise again, and they respect her in a way only children who have seen their mother carry the world can understand. Professionally, she is stepping into a different season, a season where she doesn't need to prove anything. She doesn't need to defend her worth. She is no longer building from survival or pressure. She is building from confidence, from clarity, from peace. The world is seeing her in a new light, not as the woman who made it through things, but as the woman who chooses herself before losing herself. At 50, she is not broken. She is not starting over. She is not a woman who failed at love. She is a woman who refuses to stay anywhere she is not valued, understood, or emotionally safe. And that is power. Because there comes a time where a woman stops asking, "What do they think of me?" and starts asking, "How do I feel when I'm with them?" Shaunie is living in that phase, the phase of self-respect, self-awareness, self-love. Rumors don't define her anymore. People's opinions don't shake her anymore, and her past does not imprison her anymore. She has outgrown the noise. And that is something the world is not used to seeing from women in the spotlight. We are used to breakdowns, fights, online arguments, interviews filled with tears and anger. But Shaunie's silence wasn't weakness. It was wisdom. It was maturity. It was grace. She understands something now that takes many of us a lifetime to learn. Sometimes the apology you crave from someone else is the apology you have to give to yourself for staying too long, for ignoring your own voice, for loving people who did not know how to love you back. And there is nothing more powerful than a woman who forgives herself. So yes, the rumors were real. The marriage ended. The fairy tale shifted. The chapter closed. But what opened? A new era in her life defined by peace, purpose, and emotional wholeness. Not everybody gets a second chance at life while still living, but she does, and she is taking it with both hands. At 50, Shaunie O'Neal is not explaining herself anymore. She is not defending her choices. She is not entertaining speculation. She is simply living, on her terms, in her truth, with her heart still open. And that is a beautiful thing.